High blood pressure is often called the silent killer. The problem is, it creeps up quietly, without pain or warning. Many people over 60 believe that feeling fine means they are healthy. But the truth is, elevated blood pressure can quietly damage arteries for years. The consequence? It increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, and even memory loss. In the United States, nearly half of adults live with high blood pressure, and most don't even know it until a serious event happens. It doesn't just shorten life, it steals the freedom to live it fully. The solution is not fear. The solution is knowledge, awareness, and small daily changes that protect the heart. By choosing the right foods, creating healthy habits, and staying consistent, anyone can take control of their health, even after 60. Let me share a story. Robert, a 62-year-old from Ohio, thought his fatigue and occasional dizziness were simply normal aging. But during a regular checkup, his doctor discovered his blood pressure was dangerously high. At first, Robert was shocked. He didn't feel sick. Yet, this moment became the turning point of his life. With guidance from his doctor, small changes in his diet, and the support of his family, Robert managed to bring his blood pressure down. More importantly, he regained confidence in his health and his future. This is the journey we will explore together today, understanding the dangers, recognizing the hidden risks, and discovering how food and lifestyle can empower us to protect our hearts. The support it needs after 60. When Robert first learned about his high blood pressure, he was confused. His doctor explained that after 60, the body no longer manages pressure the way it once did. The arteries lose some of their flexibility, the heart pumps against greater resistance, and small habits like salty snacks, late nights, or too much coffee begin to take a bigger toll. For Robert, it was not about feeling sick, but about what was happening quietly inside his body. High blood pressure is not just a number. It is the daily strain placed on blood vessels that can weaken them over time. Robert was surprised to learn that even people who feel healthy and active can carry this hidden burden. His doctor compared it to the plumbing in a house. The pipes may look fine on the outside, but if the pressure inside is too high, small cracks form until one day there is a serious break. This conversation opened Robert's eyes. He realized that his health after 60 would depend less on luck and more on awareness. Monitoring blood pressure became his way of checking in with his body, just as he checked the locks on his doors each night. It gave him a sense of control rather than fear. For many older Americans like Robert, understanding blood pressure is the first step toward protecting the freedom to live independently. And while knowledge is important, the real power comes from action. In the next section, we will discover how simple, everyday foods can begin to heal the heart and lower blood pressure naturally. After Robert began monitoring his blood pressure more carefully, he found comfort in sharing his journey with others. One of his closest neighbors, Margaret, a 64-year-old retired teacher from Florida, often joined him on morning walks. She, too, had faced the surprise of high blood pressure during a routine checkup, and together they began talking about the simple changes that could make a difference. For Margaret, the biggest shift came from her kitchen. She swapped sweetened drinks for herbal teas, added leafy greens to her dinners, and discovered the joy of roasting salmon with olive oil and fresh herbs. Within just a few months, her blood pressure numbers began to improve, and she felt more energy while working in her garden. What surprised her most was that these foods were not exotic or expensive. They were the same ingredients available in every American supermarket. Science supports her experience. Foods rich in potassium and magnesium, like spinach and beans, help relax blood vessels. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish like salmon or sardines reduce inflammation and protect the heart. Even simple choices like adding blueberries or walnuts to breakfast have been shown in studies from the National Institutes of Health to lower blood pressure naturally. These are not quick fixes, but small daily steps that add up to lasting change. The common mistake many people make is turning to healthy options that are still loaded with sugar, like bottled fruit juices or flavored yogurt. Margaret admitted she once believed orange juice from a carton was good for her heart, until she learned it had nearly as much sugar as soda. Her lesson was simple. Real foods and their natural form offered the greatest protection. For both Robert and Margaret, the shift in diet was more than just numbers on a chart. It gave them a sense of control, a renewed energy, and a reminder that aging does not mean losing vitality. And while food can heal, it is just one part of the bigger picture. In the next section, we will look closely at the hidden enemies on the plate, the foods that quietly drive blood pressure higher without us realizing it. On their morning walks, Robert and Margaret were often joined by Evelyn, a 66-year-old grandmother from Florida. Evelyn had lived a busy life, raising 3 children and now caring for her grandchildren. For years, she believed that quick meals, like frozen dinners, sausages, or a glass of diet soda, were harmless shortcuts to save time. But her blood pressure kept climbing, and she couldn't understand why. Her doctor helped her see the hidden enemies on her plate. The salty processed meats, the sweetened drinks, and the packaged snacks were quietly pushing her blood pressure higher every single day. What shocked Evelyn most was when she learned that 1 can of soda contained nearly 10 teaspoons of sugar, sometimes more than a candy bar. Even diet versions weren't truly safe, as they still triggered cravings and disrupted her weight. Science explains why. Too much sodium makes the body hold onto water, increasing blood volume and putting stress on the heart. Added sugars drive weight gain, inflammation, and insulin resistance, all of which fuel high blood pressure. Trans fats in fried foods and baked goods stiffen arteries, making it harder for blood to flow smoothly. These foods may look convenient, but they take a heavy toll on long-term health. Evelyn admitted her mistake was believing that convenience was harmless. The lesson she shared with Robert and Margaret was clear. Quick choices may save minutes today, but they can steal years tomorrow. The good news is that with awareness, every small step toward reducing processed and sugary foods helps the heart recover. By recognizing these hidden enemies, Robert, Margaret, and Evelyn began to feel more confident in their choices. And as they discovered, it is not just about avoiding what harms us, it is also about building habits that protect and strengthen the heart. In the next section, we will explore the lifestyle choices that give older adults real power to manage blood pressure every day. Walking together each morning became more than just exercise for Robert, Margaret, and Evelyn. It was a way to support one another. One of the regulars in their group was James, a 68-year-old from California. After retiring, James struggled with long hours of sitting at home and restless nights. His doctor warned him that inactivity and poor sleep were fueling his high blood pressure. At first, he felt discouraged, thinking he had to train like an athlete to see results. But small changes proved powerful. James began walking 30 minutes a day with his friends, stretching gently in the evenings, and setting a regular bedtime. Within a few months, not only did his blood pressure improve, but he also noticed he had more energy and a clearer mind. What surprised him most was how manageable it felt. He didn't need to run marathons, just steady daily movement. Science confirms what James experienced. The American Heart Association notes that adults over 60 benefit most from consistent, moderate activity, like walking, gardening, or swimming. Regular sleep supports hormone balance, while stress management, through deep breathing, prayer, or simply time with loved ones, helps lower cortisol, the stress hormone that drives blood pressure higher. The common mistake is believing that only intense workouts or strict routines make a difference. In reality, gentle, consistent habits matter more for long-term heart health. As James often told the group, it's about showing up every day, not pushing too hard one day and giving up the next. For Robert, Margaret, Evelyn, and James, lifestyle choices became the foundation for protecting their hearts. Yet, even with good intentions, many older adults fall into common mistakes that keep blood pressure high. In the next section, we will uncover those mistakes so you can avoid them and stay on track toward lasting health. During one of their afternoon gatherings, Margaret introduced the group to her longtime friend, Dorothy, a 70-year-old retired librarian from New York. Dorothy shared her experience with high blood pressure, and her story revealed some of the most common mistakes older adults often make. For years, Dorothy had been prescribed medication, but once her numbers improved, she thought she no longer needed the pills. She quietly stopped taking them, convinced she was cured. A few months later, she suffered a frightening hypertensive episode that sent her back to the hospital. It was a hard lesson. Feeling better does not mean the problem has disappeared. Dorothy also admitted that she had fallen into another trap, trying every new health trend she read about online. She once drank detox juices for weeks, hoping they would lower her blood pressure, but instead she felt weak and lightheaded. She bought expensive supplements that promised quick results, but none of them replaced the consistency of real food, exercise, and proper medical care. Like many, she believes shortcuts could replace steady habits. Science is clear. Skipping prescribed medication, eating too little salt to the point of imbalance, or chasing fad diets can do more harm than good. The Centers for Disease Control remind us that medication, diet, and lifestyle work together, not in isolation. The mistake is thinking that one alone is enough. Dorothy's turning point came when she reconnected with friends like Margaret and joined the walking group. Surrounded by others making steady changes, she felt supported and realized she didn't have to face it alone. Her story reminded Robert, Evelyn, and James that mistakes are not failures, they are lessons. Each step forward counts, no matter how small. For the group, Dorothy's experience became a gentle warning. Avoid the shortcuts, trust the process, and lean on support. And as they learned, when mistakes are corrected, progress becomes possible again. In the next section, we will see how Anthony discovered the importance of building a sustainable eating pattern that fit his life, and how this gave him hope for the years ahead. As the group continued their journey toward healthier living, they often shared meals together after their walks. One afternoon, they invited Anthony, a 72-year-old from Washington who had recently joined their community center. Anthony had struggled for years with yo-yo dieting, jumping from low-carb plans to strict calorie counting, only to feel exhausted and discouraged.
He told the group that what he really wanted was not another diet, but a way of eating he could enjoy for the rest of his life. Through conversation, the group compared different approaches. Robert had found comfort in the DASH diet, which focused on vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. Margaret leaned toward a Mediterranean style with olive oil, fish, and colorful salads. Evelyn preferred keeping things simple, eating mostly home-cooked meals with less sugar and salt. Anthony listened and realized that the common thread was not perfection, but balance. The best eating pattern was the one that fit his lifestyle and allowed him to stay consistent. Science supports this lesson. Research shows that DASH and Mediterranean diets both lower blood pressure and reduce heart risk, but the real success comes from sustainability. A plan that feels too strict is unlikely to last. By focusing on whole foods, moderate portions, and flexibility, older adults can build a way of eating that supports both health and joy. The common mistake is trying to copy someone else's plan without considering personal needs. Anthony had once tried a trendy low-carb diet his friend swore by, but it left him feeling weak and unhappy. His breakthrough came when he started building meals around foods he enjoyed, like grilled vegetables, fresh fruit, and the occasional piece of dark chocolate. For the first time, eating healthy felt like living, not sacrificing. By the end of the meal, Anthony smiled and said, "This is the first time I believe I can actually do this for the long run." The group agreed, reminding each other that health after 60 is not about quick fixes, but about steady, sustainable habits. And that is the message we leave with today. You have the power to build a lifestyle that protects your heart and gives you freedom for years to come.
Let's take a moment to recap what we've learned today. First, we understood why high blood pressure after 60 is a silent but serious risk, and why awareness is the key to prevention. Second, we saw how healing foods, like leafy greens, berries, beans, and salmon, can naturally support the heart. Third, we uncovered the hidden enemies on our plates, such as processed meats, sugary drinks, and trans fats that quietly push blood pressure higher. Fourth, we discovered how lifestyle choices, like daily walking, good sleep, and stress management, give us powerful tools to protect our hearts. Fifth, we learned about the common mistakes, like skipping medication or relying on quick fixes that keep blood pressure high. And sixth, we saw how building a sustainable eating pattern, one that fits your life and brings you joy, is the true foundation for lasting health. The message is clear. Health after 60 is not about fear, but about steady, hopeful steps that give you freedom and confidence each day. If this video has been helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones. Together, we can build a healthier, stronger future, one small choice at a time.